Mr. Gecko, you're a huge inspiration to us all. But who was your muse?
My dear old Nan. She would tell me, always remember to be true to yourself and to use that fast and friendly claim support on the Geico app. I follow her advice to this day.
Get more than just savings. Get more with Geico.
You know that feeling when everything just stops? When one of your kids has just completely lost it and you're standing there in the aftermath thinking, this is it? This is the moment that matters. That's exactly what happened in my house last Tuesday. My daughter, Torin, had just snapped at her little sister over, and I kid you not, a purple crayon. One purple crayon, and she slammed her bedroom door so hard, I thought it might come off the hinges. But here's the thing about those moments. In that silence, you have a choice. You can storm in there angry and frustrated, or you can turn it into something bigger. So I did something different. I gathered all of my kids, yes, all of them, right there in the living room, and instead of lecturing them about door slamming and sister snapping, I asked them one simple question. How would you feel if someone treated you that way? The room went from chaos to complete stillness. And in that stillness, something beautiful happened. Reflection. I'm Maya Hansen, and this is my world, where respect and caring aren't just nice ideas we talk about on Sundays. They're daily practice, forged in the middle of real life, real mess, and real love. Today I'm pulling back the curtain on what it actually looks like to raise kids who care. Not perfect kids, but kids who choose kindness when it matters most. When people hear that I have 13 kids, the first question is always, how do you keep them from killing each other? And honestly, some days I wonder the same thing. But here's what I've learned. Siblings are actually perfect training ground for respect. Think about it. These kids can't escape each other. They share rooms. They share toys. They definitely share my attention, whether they want to or not. Last week, I'm watching my 8-year-old and my 7-year-old having this epic battle over who gets the front seat of the car. And my first instinct, my gut reaction, was just to say, stop fighting and get in the car. We're already late. But something made me pause. I crouched down to their level and said, look at your sister's face. How do you think she feels right now? She got quiet for a second, really looked at her, and then said, probably sad because she wanted the front seat too. And then, without me saying another word, she stepped back and said, you can have it today. That's when you know it's working. Not when they're perfect, but when they choose to see each other. But here's the thing I've learned early on. Kids don't absorb respect from our lectures. They absorb it from watching us live it out. When I say please, when I ask my husband to pass the salt, when I say thank you for the little things, when I apologize to them when I mess up, and trust me, I mess up plenty. They see that respect isn't something you demand from other people. It's something you give freely, starting with the people closest to you. I have one sacred rule at our dinner table, and it has single-handedly saved my sanity. Are you ready for this life-changing wisdom? Food doesn't move unless you ask nicely. I know. I sound ridiculously simple, but picture this. 13 people around one table, everyone hungry, everyone wanting something at the exact same time. Without that rule, complete chaos. So if someone wants the bread basket, they don't just grab it over 3 people. They have to say, "Could you please pass the bread?" And then, here's the kicker. They have to wait for a "you're welcome" before they move on. And you know what's amazing? Even my littlest ones pick it up. My 7-year-old can even say, "please," and it comes out great. But here's what I've discovered along the way. Please and thank you aren't just polite words to teach our kids to make them seem well-mannered. They're respect in action. When you say please, you're acknowledging that the other person has a choice. They could say no. They could ignore you. But you're asking anyway with kindness. And thank you, that's you saying, "I see what you did for me, I notice your effort, and I value it." Even with something simple as passing the ketchup, you multiply that by every meal, every interaction, every small exchange. It builds something. This foundation where everyone matters, where everyone's contribution is seen and appreciated. Even the 7-year-old with ketchup all over her face. Okay, confession time. I absolutely hated chores as a kid. They felt like punishment, like something my parents made me do just because they could. So when I started having kids, back when I thought I'd have maybe 2 or 3, I was determined to flip that script entirely. I'll never forget this conversation I had with my 14-year-old. She's sitting at the kitchen table, grumbling and rolling eyes through folding her little siblings' laundry. Classic teenage response, right? So I sat down next to her and said, "Madison, when you fold Torrens pajamas, what are you really doing?" And oh, the look she gave me. Pure teenage skepticism. "I'm folding clothes, Mom, obviously." But I kept going. "You're making sure she has something clean and soft to wear to bed tonight. You're taking care of her before she even knows she needs it taken care of." Something clicked. I could see it in her face. The shift from obligation to purpose. That's when I started calling them family care instead of chores. When 8-year-old Torrin wipes down the kitchen counter, she's not cleaning up a mess. She's preparing a space for the next person who needs it. When Annalyn vacuums the living room floor, she's creating a comfortable place for everyone to gather. When the boys take out trash, they're making sure our home stays a place we all want to be. It's respect in action. Respect for your family, for your home, for the people who come after you. And you know what started happening? They began noticing each other's efforts. Thanks for cleaning the bathroom, Warren. The kitchen looks great, Madison. I love how you organized the playroom, Anna. Suddenly, these tasks that used to feel like punishment became love languages, ways of saying I care about this family without saying a word. There's this moment that's permanently etched in my memory. I was at the grocery store with all the kids, which, let me tell you, is always an adventure that requires strategic planning and multiple player sessions. Our cashier looked exhausted, end of a double shift exhausted. She was probably 19, maybe 20, and you could just tell it had been one of those days. And without any prompting from me, none whatsoever, my 8-year-old Torin looks right at her and says, I hope you have a really good day. The transformation on her face was instant. She went from going through the motion tired to genuinely smiling. And then, like dominoes falling, all the kids started chiming in. Thank you. Have a nice day. I really like your necklace. By the time we finished checkout, this exhausted young woman was beaming. But here's what hit me as we walked to the car. I never told them to do that. They saw someone who needed kindness, and they just gave it. Because somewhere along the way, they'd internalized this truth. Respect doesn't stop at your front door. It's something you carry everywhere you go. I see it when we're at restaurants, and they automatically say please and thank you to our servers. When they hold the door open for elderly couples at the mall. When they let someone with fewer items go ahead of us at the checkout line. These aren't big, dramatic gestures. They're tiny moments, but tiny moments create ripple effects. That cashier probably went home and told someone about the sweet family who made her day better. And maybe that someone was having a rough day too, and hearing about my kids' kindness helped them choose kindness for the next person they encountered. That's how respect spreads, one small interaction at a time. In a house with 13 kids, apologies are daily currencies. I mean, when you have that many personalities, that many strong wills, that many different needs all under one roof, conflicts happen a lot. But early on, I realized that sorry by itself wasn't enough. Kids can throw around sorry like confetti. Quick, meaningless, just to get out of trouble. So I taught them to be specific. Instead of just, I'm sorry, they have to say what they're actually sorry for. I'm sorry I yelled at you when I was frustrated about my homework. I'm sorry I took your toy without asking. This is the part that really matters. I coached the other child on how to respond, not just it's okay. Because sometimes it's not okay, but I forgive you. There's something powerful about those words. I forgive you. Means I'm choosing to let go of what you did wrong. I'm choosing to see you as more than your mistake. I remember when my 14-year-old accidentally broke her sister's favorite mug. Not just any mug, the special mug one grandma had given her with a unicorn on it. Morgan was devastated. I mean, tears, the whole thing. And Madison felt terrible. She came to me and said, "Mom, how do I fix this? I can't glue a mug back together." I said, "You start with the truth. You tell Morgan exactly what happened. You tell her you're sorry, and you ask her to forgive you. Then you figure out the rest together." So she did. Full honesty, full ownership, and Morgan, through her tears, said, "I forgive you, Madison, but I'm still sad about my mug." And you know what? That was okay. Forgiveness doesn't mean the hurt disappears immediately, but it means you're not going to let the hurt define your relationship. We ended up going on a special trip to find Morgan a new favorite mug. Madison used her allowance money, but more than that, she learned that when you hurt someone you love, you don't just say sorry. You do everything you can to make it right. Every family has their stories. Those moments that get told and retold until they become part of your family's DNA. In our house, we're constantly collecting these stories of kindness and respect and honesty. They're more powerful than any lecture I could give. Like the time my daughter shared her lunch with a classmate who didn't have one. She came home that day and mentioned it so casually. "Oh, Emma didn't have a lunch today, so I gave her half of mine." But when I dug a little deeper, I found out that Emma's family was going through a really tough time financially. Madison had figured this out on her own and had been sharing her lunch for 3 weeks without telling anyone. That night at dinner, I told her story to the whole family. Not to embarrass her, but to celebrate her. "This is who we are," I told them. "We're the family that makes sure no one goes hungry." And you know what happened? The next week, several kids started packing extra snacks in their backpacks just in case they met someone who needed them. Or there's that story about my son Gavin standing up to a bully, not getting into a fight. That's not what I mean. But when he saw a kid picking on a smaller boy on a field trip, Gavin walked over and said, "Hey, want to play soccer with us instead?" He didn't try to be a hero. He just gave everyone a better option. And that story gets told at our dinner table, gets passed down to the younger kids as an example of what courage actually looks like. Then there was a time our family was at the park, and we saw an elderly man sitting alone on a bench, looking really lonely. Without any prompting from me, my 8-year-old Torin walked up to him and asked if he wanted to watch her go down the slide. For the next hour, this man had a cheering section of one of Torin's performed, increasingly elaborated slide tricks for him. When we left, he had tears in his eyes. He told me it was the first time someone had talked to him in weeks. These stories, they become part of who we are. When the kids face similar situations, they remember when Madison shared her lunch. Remember when Gavin included that kid. Remember when Torin made that man smile. Lectures fade, but stories stick. And those stories shape how my kids see themselves. Not as perfect people, but as people who choose kindness when it matters. Every time we retell these moments, we're saying, this is what our family values. This is who we are. This is what we do. Respect isn't about how we treat people, though that's obviously the big one. It's about how we treat everything around us, our pets, our belongings, our environment. even the small things that might seem insignificant. I learned this lesson from my kids, actually. We were at the park one day having a picnic, and we were packing up. I watched my 8-year-old daughter pick up a piece of trash that wasn't even ours. When I asked her about it, she said, "Well, someone else is going to use this park after us. I want them to think it's beautiful as we did." That's when it clicked for me. Respect is really about thinking beyond yourself. When we teach our kids to take care of their toys, we're not just preventing clutter, we're teaching them to value what they have. When they feed our dog every morning without being asked, they're learning that caring for something dependent on you is a privilege, not a chore. When they fix their little sister's broken toy instead of just throwing it away, they're learning that things have value beyond their immediate usefulness. I tell them all the time, if you can respect the little things, you'll respect the big things too. The way you treat a book shows how you'll treat a library. The way you handle a friend's toy shows how you'll handle their feelings. Everything is connected. The kid who carefully waters the plants is the same kid who carefully listens to their siblings' problems. The kid who gently pets our cat and the same kid who gently helps their grandmother up the stairs. Respect is a way of moving through this world with care, with intention, with the understanding that everything and everyone around you matters. I wish I could tell you that all of this respect and caring comes naturally, that my kids are just inheritedly kind and never make mistakes. But that would be a lie. And honestly, it wouldn't be helpful either. The truth is, sometimes the most important lessons come from failure. From those moments when respect breaks down and someone gets hurt. I remember when my 14-year-old lost her favorite game because she couldn't take care of it. Left it on the floor, stepped on it, cracked the disc. She was devastated. My instinct was to replace it immediately. I hated seeing her so upset, but instead, I sat with her in that disappointment and said, "That is what happens when we don't respect our things we care about." She had to save up her allowance for 2 months to buy a new one. 2 months of watching her siblings play while she couldn't. But you know what? She never left a game on the floor since then. Or the time one of my daughters said something cruel to her sister in a moment of anger. Words that couldn't be taken back. Words that left real hurt behind. We didn't just move past it with a quick apology. We sat with the weight of what happened. I helped her understand that them words have power. The power to build up or tear down. And with power comes responsibility. She wrote her sister a letter, not because I made her, because she genuinely wanted to repair what she had broken. And then she had to live with the natural consequences of her sister being more cautious around her for a while. These are heavy lessons, but they're necessary ones. Respect isn't just about being sweet and polite. It's about accountability. It's about understanding that your choices affect other people. And sometimes the most respectful thing you can do is sit in the discomfort of your mistake and really learn from them. It's easy to be respectful when everything's going smoothly. The real test comes when you're tired. stressed, frustrated, or when someone else isn't showing you respect first. We were at a restaurant last month, all of us, which I know is ambitious. And we had this server who was clearly having a terrible day. She was short with us, forgot our drinks, got our order mixed up. I could see my kids getting frustrated. The older ones were rolling their eyes. The younger ones were getting antsy because their food was taking forever. And honestly, I was feeling it too. We'd been looking forward to this dinner out, and it wasn't going the way we'd planned. But then I remembered something my own mom used to say. You can't control how other people treat you, but you can always control how you treat them. So instead of complaining or getting snippy back, we made it a game. Every time she came to our table, we thanked her extra genuinely. When she finally brought the kids food, we told her how delicious it looked. When she apologized for the wait, we assured her it was no problem. By the end of the meal, she was smiling. She even brought the kids some free ice cream and told them, "Your family is so kind. Thank you for being patient with me." After she walked away, my teenage daughter said, "Mom, I get it now. Being respectful isn't about what other people deserve. It's about who we choose to be." That's when you know they're really getting it. When they understand that respect is an inside job. It comes from our own character, not from what others do or don't do. We've had similar tests at home. When siblings are being unfair to each other, when friends aren't being good friends, when adults in their lives let them down, each time we come back to the same truth. You are responsible for your own character. You can't control anyone else, but you have complete control over how you choose to show up in this world. So here's what I want you to know. Whether you're listening to this with one kid or 13, whether you're just starting this parenting journey or you're years into it and wondering if you're doing anything right. Raising respectful, caring kids doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come from one perfect conversation or one brilliant parenting moment. It comes from 1,000 small choices. Passing food politely, doing chores with purpose, apologizing sincerely, forgiving quickly. It comes from treating every person you encounter as someone valuable, even especially when they're not treating you the same way. Some days I look around my chaotic, beautiful, loud house and think, are they getting any of this? Is any of this actually sinking in? And then something happens. One of them shares their lunch with a friend. One of them stands up for someone being picked on. One of them says please to a tired cashier and makes her smile. And I remember that this work we're doing, this daily practice of choosing kindness or modeling respect, of believing our kids are capable of great love, it matters. Your kids are watching. Even when you think they're not paying attention, even when you think they're rolling their eyes at your life lessons, even when they're slamming doors over purple crayons, they're watching. And they're learning that love isn't just a feeling. It's a choice you make over and over again. It's how you treat the people closest to you, how you handle disappointment, how you respond when life doesn't go according to plan. If you're listening today, maybe while folding laundry or making dinner or driving carpools, know this. Every small act of respect you model matters. Every time you choose patience over frustration, every time you say please and thank you and I'm sorry, you're building something beautiful. You're raising kids who make this world a little kinder, a little more respectful, and a little more full of love. This is We Are the Hansons. Thanks for spending time with our family today. And remember, caring is contagious. Pass it on.